My wife has several special interests, and they're all One Piece boys.
He's a man, and he's good, and he's got split hair, and he's just slow beam.
I mean, calling him good might be a stretch. It's season 4 of King of the What Now. Before the world government, we ain't gonna bow. We're gonna rescue Rob and unite the crew. We're not gonna stop till our mission is through. Spanum's a dick, yeah, you know it's true. We wanna punch his face till he's black and blue. These government agents think they're justice, but regarding their tactics, I'm rather disgusted. The Straw Hats are pumped up and fists are flying. There's a hairy kaiju and lightning striking. Hearts burning hot in passionate flames. With phantom blades the giraffe is slain. Luffy is dashing, his skin's all red. Don't get in the way or you'll end up dead. The Straw Hats, yeah, they're on the attack. So now Soga King, burn down that flag! Hello everyone, really quick note, while we were editing this episode, we realized that some of the audio had been lost. Not a lot, but if you get near the end of this episode and you notice kind of like a subtle shift in sound quality, that's because we had to record on 2 separate days, which means that maybe the mics were tilted 7 degrees to the left, but we promise that it probably won't happen again. Just as soon as we figured out why it happened this first time, we'll squash those gremlin bugs, whatever caused this terrible curse on our audio equipment. Thanks. Hello, everyone, and welcome to King of the What Now? Wait, no. This intro, it's lacking a little something. I need help. Someone must be out there who knows the intro and can deliver it with fiery passion.
I can do it! I know the intro!
All right, you. It's your turn, kid.
Yes, okay, I've been waiting my whole life. Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to King of the Beans now. Damn it!
Oh, back to the rookie league for you.
No!
Turn in your jersey and your badge. You're a loose cannon.
I'm a cop football player. Basketball? I don't know, sports, cop. Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 85 of King of the What Now. I'm your host, Kat, and I am a mysterious man from a foreign country, but I'm not going to give you one single red cent.
What? It's because I'm a clown, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm your co-host, Joel, part-time clown, but also I'm the hero who has a slingshot that can out-marksman people with guns, because that's just how amazing slingshots are.
That's pretty good, but how many ribs do you have?
At least 605.
More than that.
No, even more than that. Okay, wow. Anyway, so we just finished watching a couple of episodes of the anime. I never have this list up. It's real embarrassing. 301, 302, 303, and 304. And Kathryn, as the host, would you like the honor of the succinct summary, or would you allow me, your co-host, the humble obligation?
Ooh, I'm not sure. Do you have a preference? We didn't talk about this beforehand.
I don't know, man. We're just gonna we're gonna loosey-goosey it.
Kind of putting me on the spot here, but okay, so there was only one episode that mattered, and it was the return to Jipang, where a cherry tree was stolen, and it turns out it was stolen by Buggy to sell to Foxy. But then Foxy's like, I'm not going to pay you, you loser clown. And they fight, and it's amazing, and all hail Foxy. Also, Absolutely. He and Portia are married in this universe, I think.
It would appear. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any kind of canonical information about his relationship with Portia. I don't think they're an item in the regular canon, but this is Jipang, where anything could happen. Maybe Robin's a ninja, or maybe she's a ghost.
Ooh. Super sing. Joel, don't look at me like that. I'm trying my best.
Ooh.
I had too many Oreos, and they've infected me.
We are not sponsored by Oreos. The views of this podcast are not endorsed by the Oreo company. But Nabisco? Nabisco. Yeah. I almost said Hasbro, and you should not be eating cookies from Hasbro.
They make toys.
Right. Exactly.
Super succinct summary for the actual episodes, though. It was really just a lot of people running. The main
Robin
impressive
got
points...
freed.
God, just jump in there, why don't you? Yeah, the main impressive point are that Usopp arrives on the top of the Tower of Law, and he starts shooting all the Marines, and then he shoots a bundle of keys down to Frankie, and Frankie gets to try them one at a time while Spandam cries like a baby.
Well, hang on. Frankie met a slight moment of hesitation. There was an obstacle in his way. Could you describe what happened to our good friend Frankie?
Yes, so Spandam and Robin are finally on the bridge, and Spandam goes, ha 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 ha, I've set a bomb, and your friends, if they somehow manage to get past the great Lucci, will explode. And so Frankie stepped on this mine and he exploded, but he didn't actually explode because his front half is made of metal. He just fell in the water.
Mm-hmm, pretty much.
Can Frankie swim, even though he's, like, heavy?
He got back up.
He did
clearly.
get back up.
But yeah, so that's basically what was happening on the Bridge of Hesitation. Usopp also started hearing a strange thing, and Kathryn and I obviously know what it is, but, like, I don't know how I would describe it to someone who didn't actually watch these episodes. It sounded a bit like a whale song, I guess.
Yeah, it was like there were ghost fish singing to him. I made a joke in the cold opens about, can he talk to fish now? Which I think is what would be my guess if I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I think that might have been your guess when we watched these episodes the first time, too, when you were still a rookie yourself. But that doesn't get resolved in these episodes, so we're not going to really discuss it because we're going to wait until the big reveal, and I don't think it'd be any fun guessing because we know what's behind that mystery door. Lucci has also realized that all of Luffy's friends are going to be coming down the passageway that Luffy came down. And so Lucci breaks open a wall so it starts to flood with seawater, and it looks like everyone, Kokoro and Zoro and Sanji and Usopp and Nami and Chimney and Gonbei are all going to be drowned unless something happens. That hasn't happened yet. Right now, Nami is just running as fast as she can away from the water, and Usopp is completely unaware, and all of his ribs are broken, apparently.
Do you think his ribs are actually broken? Like, does he have some form of injury, or do you think he doesn't want to run?
He's very injured, but I think he might be playing it up a little bit. But, I mean, he fell from the top of the Tower of Law into the room that Kaku was in, and that was quite a fall. I'm surprised he's, up and able to walk.
Zoro and Sanji didn't even bother to catch this noble hero.
Right. And then the other thing, too, is that these episodes ended on Luffy activating Gear 3rd, which had been teased twice before. Once he threatened to use it against Bluno, but then Bluno collapsed. And then again, he used it, and Chimney and Gonbei saw what happened, but we didn't. But now we get to see the full effect, and it is the ability to transform his bones or expand his bones, which makes his left fist the fist of a giant! And the episode ended with him connecting a punch against Lucci, who seemed unimpressed. He was like, oh, come on, you're just joking, you're bluffing. But he did put on Tekai, and he did get hit by it, but we don't know if he exploded into blood and guts. Probably not likely, given, the age range from this manga. But we don't know if he's going to, brush it aside casually. We don't know if it did serious damage. We just don't. That's where the episode ended.
All we know is that it makes his fist real big.
Absolutely. And that has been your succinct summary.
Now, here's something kind of funny of note. Episode 303, I believe, the Jipang episode.
Correct.
They changed the opening animation slightly. They inserted, 2 extra people, and we don't know who they are. I think one of them was supposed to be Oda-sensei, but I don't know who the other one was. It was, some blonde guy and a black-haired dude.
Yeah, I don't know what that was for, and it didn't relate to the episode we were watching. I was wondering if maybe... Exactly. I've never noticed that. I skip the opening a lot of the times. But I mean, I don't really have any theories. Maybe it was like a Make-A-Wish situation, or maybe someone donated enough to Oda's favorite charity, so he decided to, maybe he lost a bet. Maybe him and, the My Hero Academia writer and the Black Clover dude, they were all out drinking, and one of them was like, I bet I can do this thing. And Oda's like, I bet you can't. And then he did it anyways, and I was like, I guess I have to draw you now.
Yeah, no, I mean, that could be. I just thought it was kind of funny. Also, here's another funny thing. We're going about things kind of out of order this episode.
Are we?
We forgot your favorite new segment, Chatting with the Hosts.
Oh, yeah.
How are all of our many fans going to blow this way with the cooling air. It's a fan's joke. Anyway, how will they know?
I'm glad you aborted that before it got... You're like, I'm in too deep, but I'm not in too deep. I'm almost in too deep.
Give me the shovel. I think I can hit oil if I go just a little bit further down. But no, so chatting with the hosts.
Yes.
And I suggested we do chatting with the hosts a little differently today because we just recorded an episode yesterday. We already talked about all of the things we've been doing, so it wouldn't make sense to just repeat ourselves. But I was going to ask you a question. And that question is, you and I watch, I would say, a fair amount of anime, not as much compared to some people who watch anime and talk about it on YouTube for a job. Please sponsor us, Nuxtaku.
Absolutely purred. Yeah. Sorry, just something about the way you're saying, something that I wanted to talk about, the thing that we will be talking about.
The question that I'm going to ask is a question. But we watch a fair amount of anime, so this year, for this anime watching season, what genre are you most excited to explore more that maybe you haven't watched very much of?
That's a tough question. I guess the two that are kind of on my radar that I know of, well, I guess there's two, sorry. I blanked for a second there. But I've kind of been wanting to get into Gintama for a while now, and then the other one is I heard about, The Overly Cautious Hero, which is an isekai, but it's an isekai that turns the isekai on its head. And so I guess those two are both related by being comedies. So I guess if I had to give an answer, that would probably be what I would say, is that I'm more excited about getting into that.
Very cool. I think I want to get into more sports anime.
Okay.
I've heard so much about Haikyuu, and then all of kind of the other sports anime fandom seeps in from there. And I don't know, it just seems like maybe it'd be an uplifting, fun thing to watch. So I want to give that a try. I want to watch more magical girl shows, but one of the problems I have anytime I watch a magical girl anime is that it's not Madoka Magica. But the only reason Madoka Magica worked was because it was a new twist on a genre that had already existed for a long time. So it doesn't make any sense for everything to be Madoka Magica.
Well, I haven't watched too much of it, right? I probably saw a couple of episodes of Sailor Moon back in the day when it was airing with Dragon Ball, and you and I have watched Pretty Cure, and we made it through a season of Glitter Force. But from what I can tell, it seems like that genre is very formulaic, and I have a hard time keeping up with something if it doesn't feel like there's going to be any evolution of characters or anything. Another reason why I think Madoka works so well is because it was only 12, 11 episodes, somewhere in there, and it was a very tightly told story.
And it was an actual story. It had progression and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would say it had some of the tightest characterization of any anime I've ever watched. This is not a Madoka Magica episode. We'll do one of those. I love it so much.
Absolutely. What we'll do is we haven't seen the movie, so we'll watch the movie fresh and have our reaction on pod. But so keep your eye out on Patreon for that. But I think that's kind of what about sports anime is exciting to you.
I hear that it's very uplifting, obviously the team can't win every game because that's not how sports work. Sometimes teams lose. But something about the teamwork and the camaraderie and we're working together to try to win this game. I don't know. It's kind of One Piece. They're all working together to help Luffy find the One Piece and to achieve their individual dreams. But it's about something that's accessible to me in the real world.
Okay, fair enough. I've also heard that there's a basketball one, and I'm sure someone will be able to tell us what it's called, where they all have superpowers that are based off of actual things that people can do in basketball, but they give it a cool name, this is the Emperor's Eye, and it makes everyone bow before me because no one can stand up to the Emperor.
That's so cool. I was watching Uma Musume, which I would argue is a sports anime. It's about racing, but it's also horse girls. But they did something similar where by running right in the shadow of another runner, she got a speed boost because the wind resistance. And, that's a real thing. But, of course, it was exaggerated up to 11 in this anime.
So, absolutely. That's been Chatting with the Hosts.
Now we can go back to talking about One Piece. The show that we love.
Well, and actually, really quick, it does seem like the fight with Lucci is entering its final stages. So if you are listening to this and you want to interact with
us here at King of the What Now, be sure to send in your notes about the Luffy versus Lucci fight, or if you like how loudly you cheered when Robin was freed, or just the whole arc as a whole, because like there's not much more to it. We have 2 more podcasting episodes and then we'll be done with this island.
Yeah, I would love to do an Ennie's Lobby wrap-up episode where we just talk about people's thoughts about the arc in general and the themes and how that relates to the show as a whole. I saw people on Twitter commenting on Grant's Dressrosa wrap-up thread, and people have some great ideas. So, like, bring your ideas into our eye holes, and we will talk about them on mic, and we'll credit your Twitter or whatever name you give us.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Okay, are you ready to talk about these episodes?
I'm pretty ready. I feel my cheeks are tightening with excitement.
Okay. Let's... I mean, my cheeks are tightening, but that might just be the green pill that the Magic Man gave me. That was a weird joke to make.
That was a weird joke to make.
It stays on mic. I'm experimenting with my humor style.
Okay, I like that, but would you please confirm for me and our audience that you're not on mystery drugs, given to you by a man who may be a wizard but could be a charlatan?
No, I am clean. Okay. I have not taken any drugs from anyone dressed as a wizard.
Excellent.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about the Jipang episode and kind of put that at the front load the episode with that. Mm-hmm. So how would you rank this compared to the other Jipang episodes?
I mean, it took a while to get going. Like, at first, when it came on, you kind of rolled your eyes and you went, oh my god, we're doing this again. But as soon as Foxy was revealed, I was having a blast. I was in the kitchen making, like, weird noises, I'm pretty sure. Can you confirm? Was I making some weird
I thought you were going to transform into, like, a were-leopard. I thought you were channeling Lucci's spirit in you.
Oh, I was just so happy to see Foxy again. And they used him so well. Like, him putting Buggy in his place when they're both ridiculous characters is delightful.
Yes, absolutely. And it just kind of goes to show kind of a point that I've been making in my head about Foxy and Buggy. You know, Buggy shows up quite often in like these specials and sometimes in the movies and stuff. And it seems like a lot of people are very excited and they're like, oh my god, it's Buggy. Do you remember Buggy? And like, yeah, I do, but he's a clown. Like, that's it. That's the extent of any kind of familiarity I have with him or any kind of enjoyment. Like, he was just, brush him aside. He was, you know, he's not even as interesting as Axan Morgan, in my opinion. Foxy has more personality in him than the entire Buggy crew, I would say. And Foxy doesn't come back nearly as much. In fact, canonically, he never comes back as far as we know. But he made an appearance in One Piece Stampede because that had every character, and he's in a couple of filler arcs. But I think his shtick is better, you know?
Well, and the thing that I love about Foxy, not to get too high on my Foxy high horse, but the thing I love about
Foxy high horse, that's a great name for like your car or like
your skateboard.
A sports drink. Take your Foxy high drink now or high horse now.
Oh no, I love it. Okay. But no, the thing about Foxy versus Buggy is that Foxy and his crew genuinely love one another.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, his crew is made up of all these stolen people that have every reason to hate him. No, they're all having a great time, and they love each other. Buggy doesn't give a crap about his crew. He doesn't give a fart.
He saved them from cannibals.
Was that in an episode that I missed?
That was his little Buggy adventure. That's how it ended, was he found them, and they were all, like, tied up, and they were gonna get eaten, and he's like, hands off my crew. But, I don't know, man.
I just kind of feel like from what I have been seen.
What you've been seen?
From what I have been shown. Maybe your magic wizard man gave me some sort of weird powders.
We here in King of the What Now do not endorse weird magic powders.
But we do have problems talking. But no, from what I've been shown, it seems like if someone was like, hey, Buggy, I'll tell you where some shiny treasure is if you tell your crew to go jump in the ocean and stay there. And Buggy would be like, tell me where the treasure is. He's pushing his crew off the boat just to get to the treasure faster.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that to some extent. It feels like they had the episode, like Foxy has that whole like, oh, a split head, and then the various members of his crew try to cheer him up, and that little bit just goes far enough for me to be like, yeah, it does seem like they sort of do care in a weird, twisted sort of way.
Yeah. By the way, if you're a new listener and you somehow weren't on board when we covered the Long Ring Long Land Davey Back fight arc, Foxy is my favorite low-tier One Piece villain, and that arc, I think, is the perfect introduction to One Piece arc, because it has all of the ridiculous humor that can catch you off guard from One Piece if you're not used to it. It has this absolutely ridiculous, larger-than-life villain, and it's just a good time. So, I really like that arc, and I really like Foxy. He's my boy.
Absolutely. And if you want to discuss the merits of Foxy, you can reach Kathryn at Pirate Ghost Host on...
You remembered my Twitter handle! You get 10 sparkle points!
All right. I will spend them wisely. So I have a question that I've written down here. Do you think that this is the best way that Foxy could have been used in the Jipang alternate reality canonical episode? Should he be a mastermind who's manipulating someone else? Or should it have been a story that more closely mirrors the Davey Back fight where he's somehow recruiting people to his side? Like, how would you use him?
I think it would have been cool if he were like a traveling snake oil salesman.
Okay.
And then Luffy tried to call him on his nonsense, and he was like, how about a little game to determine who is right? And then they play a game. And Portia's like his traveling hype man. Like, she's the one who's calling in all the crowds to come see
Oh, she's
him.
like the card carrying or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's up. That would have been kind of cool. I like the idea of Foxy as, like, a rival shogun.
Okay, sure.
But, like, he has a failing country because people keep leaving, so he keeps trying to steal citizens for his country.
Oh, that's pretty good. That kind of reminds me more of Wapple than Foxy. But yeah, like, have all of the stupid minor antagonists that nobody cares about be, like, the dukes or the shoguns of their own land or whatever, and, like, all of their countries are inept because they don't have Cobra, greatest king of all or whatever.
Also, I figured out the shtick for the Jipang villains.
Okay.
Because Hachi and Giratsu were both on Buggy's team in previous episodes. They're only bringing back, like, the loserist C-tier villains.
Oh,
they made
I see.
a mistake. They forgot Foxy was a god among men.
This is my wife, ladies and gentlemen. She has officially gone off the deep end.
But no, I really liked what they did with him. I think there are other alternative funny paths they could have chosen. What do you think?
I think that it was kind of... I liked it. I liked having him and Buggy interact. I've always kind of wanted to see like a villain team up in One Piece, and so this is as close as we're gonna get because none of them are gonna be able to work together. But I will say this: even though I wasn't crazy about him stealing the cherry blossom tree, that was kind of lame in my opinion. But what I did like is I liked how he was using his slow beam on Sanji at one point, and Usopp tried to attack him from afar, and he slowed that down. Then he was slowing Luffy, and throughout his different, like, his peacocking, his strutting, his "look at me, I'm so strong," eventually all of his slow beams wore off at the same time. So we ended up getting cut, kicked, blasted, and punched, like, within, like, a 3-second window, and that was fantastic. If there's anything from One Piece that I love more than any... I don't know if I could rank it as the best, but one of my favorites is the different combo attacks that this series busts out.
Yes, it's fun to see all of the characters attack at the same time.
Well, and it's almost like they planned it, because all of them were theoretically trying to break through the slow beam barrier, but they somehow still managed to time it in such a way that it worked out in their favor.
Yes.
And I mean... Look, I like Foxy. He has some personality, but it's also nice to see him get kicked really hard and then exploded.
He's just such a stinky little man that, like, you kick him and you're like, ha, stinky man. Get back up, stinky man, and be stinky some more. He's not like Spandam, who's an actual jackass and a threat. He's just kind of like, God, you tried to do a thing, didn't you? You silly goofster.
All right.
You did mention that you really liked his look for these episodes.
Oh, yeah, because he was like a wealthy aristocrat. I kind of got the idea that maybe he was from this world's version of America. We mentioned that last time we had a Jipang episode, but he just kind of, he had like Mr. Monopoly energy, in his white jacket type of thing.
I thought he looked kind of like a jester. Because he had, like, the multiple points coming off his collar.
That's just to match his split head. Aww.
Split head. What did you think of him as, like, he's a wealthy, important person in another country? Did that make sense to you?
He stole all of it. He found someone he could trick with the slow beam. So yes, I believe that that's who he is, but I believe it's all a front, like everything that Foxy does.
Yeah.
Here's another question. So the conceit of this episode was kind of interesting. When I saw the episode, I was like, oh, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? But of course, they couldn't actually. The idea is that Luffy looks like the bad guy for a short period of time because he wanted to show a sick kid. I believe it was Carrot. Yeah, it was Carrot from Usopp's village. He wanted to show him the cherry blossom tree, but he was too sick to leave the house. So when the cherry blossom tree disappears overnight, everyone's like, not everyone. Usopp's like, it must have been Luffy. He must have stolen it to show this kid. Which is dumb because the tree's so big, you'd be able to see if it was anywhere in the gosh dang village. But did you like the idea of maybe Luffy's the bad guy?
Yes, because it seems like a Luffy thing to do, right? Like, why would Luffy care about this festival when there's a sick child who won't get to fulfill their dream of seeing the cherry tree with their friends?
Okay, that's fair.
I think it would have been better if they had committed to him having actually stolen it, and then we could have hilarious hijinks where the other characters are trying to get him to put it back, and he's, like, running around and hiding it and has ridiculous disguises.
Okay.
And then Buggy could take it from him and be like, you did all the work of stealing this tree for us, Straw Hat, and then you could still have your fight, and the tree could end up back where it was supposed to be in the end.
Okay. Yeah, I do. I really like that. Okay, so maybe they'll take our ideas into consideration, considering the next Jipang episode has already been written, but maybe we can write that down, send them to Oda or whoever's in charge of the anime, and just let them know.
I was going to ask you if we were done with Jipang, no?
I have no idea. I skipped these episodes when I was reading through them. I know that there are multiple, but I think this is like the 5th, so we might be near the end of the Jipang episodes.
If you were going to write a Jipang episode, what would your conceit be?
Oh, man. I don't know, make it like a 3-part Jipang special and have it be Crocodile. And he's rounded up all of the stupid, like he's rounded up the clown clan, and he's done this and he's done that, and
the greatest Yakuza boss of all time.
Yeah, pretty much have them all united underneath him or whatever, and have it be like, still have it be silly because these are supposed to be kind of festive episodes, but just tearing through all of the old enemies from the series. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I like that. Yeah.
They could also host some kind of like Olympic type event, like where they aren't at war, but they are competing with some other force, and it's important to our characters that they win, but in the end the stakes aren't like that high.
And that's how we get Foxy back in there. Brilliant.
Or you have it be between two honorable sides, like one side's like Luffy and Usopp, and it's the Straw Hats, and the other side is like, say, I don't know, Kobe and Smoker and, people we care about, Pell, maybe. And then the game gets interrupted partway through by Crocodile, the evil mastermind.
I love it. While they're all busy with the games, he's out robbing the castle.
Exactly, see?
He's got his cheeks in the throne, and everyone knows when your cheeks are in the throne, you get to make the rules.
Don't bring up his sandy cheeks. Please. They make me itchy just thinking about it.
Sandy Cheeks is coming to
my
town.
God.
That's a regular One Piece if you want.
Sure.
Did you like these episodes?
They were pretty good. Okay. I think that in terms of actually stuff happening, they felt very threadbare. It felt like we got a lot of flashbacks, and I don't know if I mentioned this when we got to Water 7, but Water 7's where it really starts to become noticeable that they're stretching content to not catch up to the manga. The previously on One Piece at the beginning of each episode seems to be just hours long. It's not, but it feels like it drags.
It's gotten a lot longer for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of just times where, like, Spandam, I didn't read the manga for this part. I didn't start reading the manga until the next arc, I believe. But I don't know if he gloated as much about his dad in the previous Buster Call in the manga as he does in the anime, because that was another, like, half an episode of just re-showing the Ohara stuff.
I feel like if they need to pad out the episodes, they could just bring closing songs back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem there is they'd probably have to pay someone to come up with the song, but, like, it feels like they'd make enough money. I don't know the numbers,
Funimation, right? I will do it for free.
I mean, that's absolutely fair. We should write them and we should let them know. We're going to start a letter writing campaign. You can follow us on Twitter at hashtag #BringBackTheClosings.
Give Kat a sing-song chance. It's a catchy hashtag, Joel. You need something to snap those people's attention.
Okay, let me ask you how you liked these episodes.
I agree with you. Like I said in my succinct summary, it felt like a lot of we're running, we're going, with one or two cool moments interspersed in between. Usopp shooting the Marines off the top of the Tower of Law. Awesome.
Not only shooting the Marines, but nailing Spandam in the head twice.
Yes, and they couldn't shoot him back because they suck, which is exactly what I expect from the government in this world and the real world. No, that was a joke. Joel edit that out. But no, it was a lot of nothing and a couple small bits of substance.
Sure, but I mean, our girl is freed. Frankie and Robin is a popular ship among people, and, you know, he was the one who got through the landmine for her, and he was the one who slid in the way and took all the bullets for her, and he and Usopp, you know, they had some friction. They had, Frankie beat the shit out of Usopp, but then they had what?
No, he did.
No, he didn't. That was someone wearing a mask. That was someone else. But no, and then they had the moment where they were bonding over the Mary, and then they were both on the Sea Train together. I've never realized how much Usopp and Frankie interacted in this. I've never thought of it as a theme, but someone on Twitter pointed out, you know, like Robin and Frankie and Usopp are all tangled together in like this
Their
red string of fate
friendship
situation.
Grows really beautifully and organically. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. Are you a Frobin or a Zrobin man?
Is Robin really the best that we have? It's not Roro.
Zorob.
No, Zorob, put it back in the box. That sounds like some weird, you know, skeleton creature.
So we're gonna go with Zobin. Answer the question, coward.
Okay, I kind of have a blind spot where Frankie and Chopper are concerned. If someone came up to me and they were like, Chopper's done so much for the crew, I would kind of have a moment and be like, I'm not sure I believe you. Because it feels like he had his moment when he first showed up, and then he's kind of been in the background ever since. But I'm sure there are moments I'm forgetting because... I'm sorry, Chopper isn't my favorite character. Yeah, and I think the same is true for Frankie. He has his moments, but other times he's kind of just like forgotten and pushed out of my mind. But the more I rewatch Water 7 and Enies Lobby, I can see where the seeds of that particular ship started. But I still really like Zoro and Robin because there's something about the I don't trust you. But then he also was like the first to defend her after she got hit by Eneru's attack. Like, yeah. You know, Zoro usually only gets that wound up for, like, certain members that get attacked. Like, if Luffy got hit by an attack that looked like it would hurt him really bad, Zoro would be like, oh no, but he wouldn't be like, I'm gonna destroy you! He only does that for two people. Chopper, Robin. He does it for Chopper because Chopper's the baby of the whatever.
Brother.
But he does it for Robin, I don't know, could be something else.
Maybe he sees her as a little brother too. Maybe Zoro only sees the world in terms of big brothers and little brothers.
I see.
Luffy is a big brother.
Okay, he's a big brother with big little brother energy.
Oh,
how's that?
I like that. That's perfect. That should be like your tagline.
Okay, yeah. The other thing, too, is that maybe that's why Zoro and Sanji don't get along. Maybe Sanji is, like, right on the cusp between little brother and big brother, and Zoro's like, what are you?
What kind of brother? He's the perfect pest brother is what he is. He's the brother who takes your Nintendo Switch without asking and then breaks it and deletes all the save data off of all your games. I'm still mad about that, Grace. It wasn't my Nintendo Switch, it was my DS, but she deleted all the save data off of my games more than once and then tried to say it was an accident.
Wow, that's a harrowing tale. You should sick CP9 on her right now, for this is justice.
I should have her taken away over the tower or the Bridge of Sorrows. Hesitation, yeah. No, it's all good, Grace. If you hear this, I guess you're fine. You did not ask me whether I prefer Frobin or Zobin. But I prefer Frankie Robin because I feel like they both are older than the rest of the crew.
Oh, that's certainly true.
And so, like, age-wise, I think they have more in common in their attitudes. And also all that bonding they did while tied up.
Literal bonding, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Robin, though, oh my gosh, when she got free, the first thing she did was slap the shit out of Spandam. It was so gratifying.
I'm surprised he remembers his name after that harrowing. And the one thing that I do want to say is, like, I kind of wish that she had, like, thrown him in the ocean or punched him or even, like, kicking him in the balls would, you know, it feels like that would be more satisfying than a slap, which doesn't necessarily feel as... But the fact that it's a million slaps against Spandam's stupid face makes up for it a bit.
And then his face looked like a potato. Do you think Robin could summon a wheel of feet that are just continually turning and kicking him in the balls?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, let's get on it, Oda. Let's do some retconning, rewrite this chapter.
But yeah, no, that was all very good. I liked Frankie and Robin teaming up in order to take down all of the riffraff soldiers. I loved that Usopp's answer to what can you do is sniping everyone. But I mean, I think that's most of it for them, you know? I think it's time that we set our sights on answering some of the weird hocus pocus stuff that Luffy was doing.
Luffy. Luffy,
What?
Lucci, Luffy.
Okay.
I was trying to come up with a name for them as a unit in fighting or in love making. Nope. Backing it up.
All right, I'm giving you a look, and I just want to make sure that everyone who can't see my face right now understands
I'm pretty sure
that I'm
they
not
heard
letting
it
this
in your,
slide.
Anyway, let's talk about their fight.
Yeah, so Lucci is playing hard and fast with these martial arts 6 powers thing, right? Because we are told that they train their bodies to be able to make themselves hard as iron, or they can kick lightning or whatever. But this dude, he used his tail to launch frickin' like a spiral finger pistol Ronkaku thing.
It wasn't the finger pistol, it was the wind
Ronkaku.
slash.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know what Ronkaku meant.
Gotcha. Well, it means plan, Kathryn. No, but like,
Stop for a second.
I've slain my wife, it seems. I found her weakness, everyone.
All right, you can go back to it. But yeah, he can make like fire picks out of his fingernails.
I just wanted to focus on one thing at a time. But yeah, no, so he inflates his chest, like Luffy is able to get, or is about to get, a gum rifle in on him, and he inflates his body in a weird way, and it like makes the rifle bounce off. And you go, all right. And then he had 2 different versions of this, but he could shoot like air bullets with his fingers, and then he could also set them on fire, which when Sanji sets himself on fire, it's because he's spinning. And when, oh no, I don't remember his name anymore, but when the lance guy in Under Eneru's thing made his spear catch on fire, that was a heat dial. When Usopp launched the fire star and it looked like a bird before it burned down the flag, that was dial technology. What the fuck did Luffy do to set his fingertips on fire?
No, so Sanji's thing is friction, right? Like he spins really fast and the friction is what sets his leg on fire. So Lucci is so strong that he can create the same amount of friction just by pushing his nails together really hard. And so it's that like striking a match kind of gesture.
Okay.
That sets him on fire. It's stupid. I'm not saying it's not stupid, but like it tracks for me.
Okay, I guess that does track.
Crocodile said that the only limit of a devil fruit is your imagination.
Okay, so are you saying that he made his chest more leopard-like in that moment, and that's why it expanded?
No, I'm saying that I think that applies to everyone in the One Piece world. I think the only limit of what you are capable of is what you imagine you are capable of. And Lucci apparently has a great imagination. He definitely seems like life of the party, coming up with new fun ideas type.
I mean, he came up with the undercover idea of pigeon ventriloquist, and that's a cover so deep, I don't know what's going on with that.
Pigeon ventriloquist who also looks like Slash. Thank you, Lucci.
Yeah, but no, I see your point that he's very creative. I wonder if, because we haven't gotten any flashbacks from him, and we don't always for the villains, but sometimes we do. And I wonder if we're going to get some kind of, he is just a genius for fighting, you know?
Mm-hmm. He trained for 50 years in a cave, and now he can bend things with his mind.
I'm curious what his age is compared to the others. Do you think he's older than the other members, or do you think they're all about the same age?
I think that the oldest is Kumadori.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
And I think the youngest is Fukuro. But I think the rest of them are clustered around roughly the same age.
Yeah, I definitely think that Jabra and Kaku are probably about the same age. But yeah, they seem, none of them, except for the way that Kaku talks, none of them seem like old people or particularly young, except for Fukuro. You nailed that one. He's the baby of the.
He's the chopper.
Yeah, he really is. But anyways, I wonder if he has if he's more driven than the others, or if he had a traumatic past, or if he's just a martial arts master. Because I don't know. I legitimately believe that there's something that differentiates the head of the enemy clans from the actual members. There's something that makes Crocodile the boss over Mr. One. Even though Mr. One's strong, there's something about Crocodile's personality that just inches him above. And I wonder if that's what gives Lucci his many different attacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think he could do it with his feet? Do you think he could shoot fire picks from his toes? Because there's
No.
no friction,
Because,
right?
yeah, you can't put your finger underneath your toe.
You could put your big toe from your left foot underneath your big toe from your right foot.
I can pop my toes with my toes, so maybe it would be like that.
Yeah, see? Anything's possible if you're creative enough.
And horrifying.
Okay. But no, the other thing that I wanted to point out is we get an explanation for what Gear Second actually is. The first time Luffy goes Gear Second, he gets into this crouching position and he his legs go and steam starts coming off of his body and his skin turns red. And I'm sure if we had thought about it and if we had been well, what causes the skin to turn red and what could possibly generate steam, maybe we would have come up with it. But the answer is basically he is speeding up the flow of his blood to the point that would be dangerous for a normal person, but his veins and his heart are made out of rubber, so they can handle it. And also, I don't think he could accelerate the flow of blood without being rubber as well, so I think it's a little bit of both, right? He created a solution, but also that solution only works because of the way that he created the solution.
And it's still dangerous for him.
Yes.
It's not the same kind of dangerous that it would be for a normal person, but Lucci makes it very clear that he's still taking time off his life.
Yeah, you're exchanging years of your life for a couple of minutes of strength. Is it worth it? Which also explains the question I've been asking a couple of times. Why doesn't Luffy just go straight into Gear Second? Well, because it drains his energy, and after he beat Bluno, he immediately had his pocket meat that he chewed on, right? And he got his strength back. He's out of pocket meat, so unless Sanji's gonna run by and be like, "Hey, I brought you rice pilaf," he's now in a what? Rice pilaf is a type of food.
Yeah, but why would you choose that out of all the foods you could choose?
Wait, do you think he has time to cook an omelet? No, absolutely not.
He did it on the ship. What ship? The Mary is broken.
Exactly. No, but it puts him in danger, and it has to be kind of his finishing move, because if he uses it and it wears off and he doesn't have any energy, he's now in a worse state than he was before the activation. So that makes sense. It also wore off. He was fighting Luffy gearless, I guess. First gear? Is that what you call his default base form? But he wasn't doing so well for a little while there, and every time it looked like he was about to get a hit in, Lucci would just Geppo, Skywalk, whatever you want to call it, out of the way, and
paper art.
He's back for the fight again.
Yeah.
So, which leads us into the final technique, third gear.
Third gear. Well, I actually wanted to talk about second gear for a minute more.
Oh, sure.
Because this plays into some theories I have about Mr. Luffy, which admittedly has more evidence later down the line. But you have in your notes here that this isn't the first time we've seen a technique that shortens someone's life.
Yeah, that's right. So off the top of my head, and maybe I've missed one, I didn't go back through every single chapter and episode to check, but back in Alabasta, if you can remember them, there was a group called the Sumagari Guards, and if you can't remember them, that's because they were around for about 5 minutes. They drank a special water that gave them super strength, but only for 5 minutes, and at the cost of their life. And they tried to kill Crocodile, but hard to kill a guy who's made out of sand, so they eventually died, but that was the first time that we've seen a technique that was explicitly stated to shorten the user's life. And then we have two other examples here in Endy's lobby. We have Chopper, whose monster point is draining his strength. Zoro stated that himself. And then we also have Luffy's Gear Second technique, which Lucci was like, yeah, it's going to shorten your life. So now we have 3 examples of something, and I think that makes a pattern.
Do you think that's going to come to any sort of head? Are we going to have a kid who is like 12 and they're like, I am going to die in this battle because I've used this technique so many times. This will be my final battle. Or do you think that it's going to be like an end series kind of thing?
Yeah, it feels more like an end series kind of thing. What I will say is that if the enemies continue to get stronger, and that seems to be the pattern that Oda is following, Crocodile was much stronger than Arlong. Arlong was much stronger than Buggy. How is Luffy going to be able to continue on without using Gear Second? He's not. He's going to have to use it. And if the technique is draining his life, then I assume that this is Chekhov's gun. It's been loaded, and it will be fired later. But I could also see an older character showing up, because, they always have allies in every arc. They could meet someone who is an older person who is like, yep, I battled for 30 years, but my technique was really dangerous, so this is probably my last battle. Something like that.
He has no arms and no legs, because he battled so hard that they turned into nubbins and fell off.
Yeah, exactly. They shriveled up like raisins and just kind of or because Oda sometimes subverts expectations, he might have it be someone who looks really young and they're like, I've used up too much of my power, but then you form a deep emotional bond with this weird misshapen potato man. And then just when you're like, maybe I could accept this guy in a canon, you realize that he used the last of his strength and you're like, no, potato guy.
Oda.
How would you use something like this? If you had a technique that drained someone's life, would you just play it straight, just have them sacrifice themselves, or?
It's hard because you don't want to get too much into the D&D numbers of they have 27 mana points left, and each time they use this technique, they use up 3 mana points.
Looking at you, Sanderson, and your breath system.
Don't you take this out on my favorite fantasy author, sir. I'm just saying that it would be very easy to get into the beeps and boops of it. I think what I would have happen is that every time they use the technique, it's a little bit weaker than the last time.
Oh, okay. Like over his lifetime, you mean? Okay, interesting.
Because they use up their strength, and so they're borrowing strength from the future.
Okay, I like it. Do you think we will continue to see these seeds planted? Will we see other techniques that shorten users' life? Or is this kind of like Luffy-centric, he's the main character, and so it's an element of danger that he might die?
I mentioned earlier in the episode that this plays into a lot of my endgame theories for Luffy, and so I will say, yes, I think it will come back again. I think it will mostly come back for Luffy, but we'll probably have, Chopper with his beast mode.
He is not a football player as far as I know.
But he would like Skittles. He has a sweet tooth.
He does like sweets.
Yeah, but I could easily see Ashura taking a toll on Zoro's life. I feel like in shonen anime in general, it's a very easy way to raise the stakes to say that technique is slowly killing him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there are other ways that you can play with them, but I think that is, like you said, a fairly easy trope. And, a lot of shonen characters, they're like, I'm going to fight with 1,000% of my energy. And you're like, that's not mathematically possible. And they're like, if I kill myself, it is. And you're like, oh, okay, I get you. Your enthusiasm is both your strength and your greatest weakness. Okay.
Oh, gosh. Can I go off on a brief not One Piece tangent?
Yeah, absolutely.
You remember that scene in My Hero when All Might is punching and Deku's like, each of his punches are at more than 100% of his power.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote to Horikoshi and they went, how is that possible? And Horikoshi went, it's not, I just thought it would sound cool. Horikoshi, you're valid. We love you.
I think that you've covered that exact story on Mike before, but I can't remember if it was earlier this episode or in another episode. And I think it might have been Deku's fight with Muscular where he used 1,000,000% smash. But yeah, sometimes you just go with the gut feeling, and sometimes it makes you spit up blood, just like all over the floor.
Stop that. I can't.
Zoro, help me!
Well, listeners, if it was earlier this episode, I apologize. And if it wasn't...
Yeah, absolutely. It just means that scene made an impact on you, or the author's response, really, really stuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that about wraps it up for Gear Second. Are you ready to shift to third gear?
Oh, God. Babe.
Yes.
I don't know if we can be married if you're my dad.
Oh.
That was a dad joke.
Well, I'm not. Just because someone is a dad doesn't mean that he's everyone's dad. I'm not the all dad.
Oh, that's good.
The all dad is actually a concept that was going to be in Transformers 4. It was going to replace the all spark, but it was going to give Michael Cera or whoever is in those movies dad joke powers.
No. You know how Odin is the all-father.
Yes.
Broden is the all-dad.
Okay.
You've heard of Broden.
I have no idea what you're talking
The
about.
Church of Getting Swole.
Okay. Doesn't sound like that would be a dad. Sounds like that would be like a bro. But we need to go back to
Shifting gears.
right.
Third gear.
Third gear. And listeners, if I ever call them gear second and gear third, I'm just so used to watching the sub where it's Gia Segundo and Gia Thirdo that sometimes even when I'm using the English words, they just come out in the wrong order. I'm very stupid.
Wait, do they usually say it differently in the English?
In the English, it's second gear and third gear.
Oh, geez. Here's the problem with being so used to subtitles. First of all, we keep the subtitles on even when we're watching the English, and we don't have subtitles that match the English. We have subtitles that match the Japanese.
Yes.
So I sometimes tune out like what's actually being said because I read it already.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
I totally missed that there was a difference. I also am used to Gia Segundo, which I think sounds much cooler anyway.
Now, we didn't see the aftermath of this attack of Luffy's and what it did to Lucci. We saw that it, crumbled away the stone of the building that they were fighting in, but we don't know if it, KO'd Lucci. We don't know if it barely hurt him at all. He even suggested as the attack was coming, he was like, are you playing around? So do you think Luffy's playing around, or do you think he meant it when he said, I'll give you something to write home about?
Oh, I think he meant it.
I would love to read that letter. Dear Mother, today I was trying to stop a band of pirates, and they punched me with a giant fist.
Mom, it hurt. No, so Luffy is a goofster. He's just an absolute clown of a boy. But you might say he's kind of a monkey. He monkeys around. Mm-hmm. No. Now I'm your dad. This is getting confusing.
Everyone's dad is also simultaneously their child as well, their son.
So it's like a God Jesus thing?
I think so.
Anyway, Luffy's a goofster, but not in battle. Okay. I have never seen him do something silly while he is in a serious fight with someone, and so I couldn't see him doing it now.
Okay, yeah, it's a real Databora situation. To go back to the beginning of that sentence you were talking about.
Talk about Gear Third!
No, I think that he is taking this seriously, and like you said, he takes battles pretty seriously. He wouldn't name it third gear if it packed less of a punch than second gear. One thing that I will note is that gear second affects his whole body. It doesn't seem like his feet are running faster than his torso, though that would be pretty funny. But in gear third, it seems like he has to transfer the bubble around, which I guess is inflating his bones. And so it does seem like it's not his whole body, and maybe as he gets better with the technique, maybe the series will end with giant Luffy, just like all of his bones are inflated.
Here's a question for you.
Sure.
Can he only do this to his bones, or could he, take the balloon that's in his rubbery body and, transfer it to his eye? Could he make his eyeball giant and then see things that are really far away?
You could. I think that would really open up the possibility of, that's like a big weak spot if you think about it like in a video game. Woo, look at my giant eye.
Don't punch that. I don't like that.
You would get so much sand in your eye, too.
Don't fight crocodile with your giant eye. No. It's strictly for reconnaissance.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Luffy can yell louder than other people, because he can expand his lungs and be like, bah!
That would explain why Robin could hear him from so far away.
I mean, maybe. One might also say that the voices were bouncing off of the corridor, because that's how sound works, but maybe Luffy was yelling really loud. But yes, I wonder if Luffy can stretch his eye to giant proportions, but I also wonder if it's it seemed like he had to bite his thumb and blow pretty hard to inflate his bones. So I wonder if he has to somehow trap the air in order to make his eye grow to size that it would
bite his own eyeball.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking maybe once he got it inside his body, he could just move it around at will.
He could just crack open the bone and let the air escape that way. Is that what you're suggesting? That sounds dangerous.
Okay. That aside, you said something just now, and it made me have a thought.
Inflate his eye, force the
teeth.
air.
Luffy's teeth. If they're made of rubber, just like the rest of him, first of all, he could stretch them, and that's weird. I don't like that imagining. But second, how does he chew anything?
Oh, do you feel that? The bridge of disbelief is starting to give away. You are no longer suspending your disbelief. No, I think he probably hasn't enough muscle through it, so he's not actually chewing his food. He's pummeling it into a finely ground dust that he can swallow.
Filled your mouth with pencil erasers.
Yeah.
You use those. Okay.
Or alternatively, he's just like his throat can stretch, so he can just swallow food whole. He doesn't have to chew it.
So the episodes we watched for this episode of the podcast ended with him throwing
Punching
the giant
Luffy.
punch, right?
Lucci.
So what do you think is going to come from this?
I mean, that would be kind of a cool finishing move, but it didn't feel like a finishing move. It didn't have like the dramatic music playing, and it doesn't seem like we're quite done. Like Zoro and Nami and all of them are still possibly in danger from the water. They haven't figured that situation out. So it doesn't seem like the battle is over, but at the same time, like, that should have beaten him. That's a giant's fist, dude, but he did Iron Body right before it hit him. I don't know.
It's hard to say, yeah.
Especially with future knowledge, so.
One more theoretical question, and then I think we can wrap things up if you want. Can somebody else bite Luffy and inflate his bones? If they blow really hard.
Yes.
I feel like Zoro would be able to. Like, Luffy, and then he bites him and he blows and it inflates Luffy and then he throws Luffy at the bad guy.
Or they just toss him around like a volleyball, you know? They're just they're having fun. Luffy's going up into the air. He's like, respect me, I'm your captain.
Nami would say, like, isn't this a little undignified for the pirate captain?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that someone else would bite him. Are we ever going to see that? Why wouldn't Luffy just inflate himself? I don't know. But yes, absolutely. I think that maybe that's what the final arc of this show will be, is all of his crewmates biting him, inflating different bones at the same time. And that's how you get giant Luffy.
That's beautiful.
And also your
Doot. Final thought. Outro goes here. Join us next week when we'll be watching many episodes.
Next episode, we will be watching 5 episodes of the anime. That's 305 through 309, which will pretty much wrap up the Enies Lobby arc. It'll get us to the climax, and then we'll only have, like, the renouement left, I think, if I remember that word correctly. Have a great day, everyone. Bye! So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/kingofthewhatpod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.